All right, you read the title. We are basically down 200, 500 on the top step, and then we're up 300 on the alpha futures. So let me show you guys real quick the accounts. All right, so here's the alpha futures trade. Let's go over this one real quick. This one is very, very important because we took it on ES and we lost over 500. Doesn't really matter. The trade deal wasn't there. The P&L doesn't matter, right? The trade deal matters more than the P&L. What I was looking for here was the change in the state, which we got. This is on the 30-second time frame too. I usually don't trade on the 30-second. I don't know what I was thinking. We had a sweep right here for these lows. So yeah, we had these lows swept right there. We had an inversion fairly up there form, as you can see here. And then eventually you can see the market did retrace. That should have been the entry. Instead of trading all the way up here, that would have been the stops break even. And then eventually you can see here we had a change in the state or the order block form with this market, the market structure shift above this high, and then eventually we had a buy side imbalance form. I just put it in the restroom, and then eventually the market just instantly fell. And yeah, this was the trade idea. We're aiming for a 1 to 1.5 R, close to 2 R, and you can see the market eventually it swept the lows once more, and then eventually started to move up higher here for ES. So ES was the weaker asset in correlation compared to NQ here, but here the performance not really well, and you can see that there we're down. We're not really focused on this account as much as the alpha futures one, but this one is very important because I'm still trying to maintain it too also and trade every single day. But again, I should be following the highest quality setups. I'm taking on alpha futures and taking on this one instead of trying to like trade aggressive on this one. Like today it was just an impatient trade. I won't lie to you. It was just one of those trades where I knew I shouldn't have taken this at all. It just wasn't following my system. It wasn't following my trades of what I'm looking for. And yeah, that was pretty much really it. Like it wasn't ideal, if I'm being truly honest. It just wasn't ideal. Just trading ES2 in general wasn't ideal. We are up 322. Account balance is at 439, close to the 1% mark. We just got basically 5% left to go, which isn't bad, honestly. Like 2 good trades and you're there. Maybe three good trades, you're there. 1 break even, 2 good trades. Like it's not bad, honestly. But let's continue over this ES trade right here. So if we go to the 1 minute, this is where we entered right here. We entered over here. As you can see, this was like where we entered up here, and then eventually we got stopped out. Then the market came right here. We entered like right around here on there, and then the market came and just got us stopped out. The reason I was looking for this, and the reason why I should have not taken this, was it was above equilibrium. First and foremost, it was above equilibrium. We were trading inside of the premium, the premium side of the zone there. It just wasn't worth it. We were also hitting the sell side imbalance right there. We should have made, all this inverse to then eventually push up higher, but that never happened. And the market structure shift did form, but it was a very sloppy one. It wasn't clean at all. 15-minute time frame. So let's put this right here on that. On the 15-minute time frame, let's see on the 15, what did the 15 look like? 15 looked like it did have a CRT form, but we were trading the manipulation. And another thing too, on the 1 minute, we didn't have any fair value gaps here form. So that's another thing, we didn't have any fair value gaps form. That's why it scaled down to the lower time frame. But in general, like we should have seen some fair value gaps form after sweeping this low. We did also have SMT there, but again, very, very, very bad trade idea. But if we go to the higher time frame here, higher time frame is looking a little bit more bullish after sweeping the previous day low. Now we're aiming for the previous day high, and then on the 4 hour, buy side imbalance being respected, and now we have a sell side imbalance also being tapped up into. We want to see which one gets respected, which one gets disrespected. 9 a.m. you can see we swept a low SMT 1 hour buy side imbalance. This is why I was bullish, but again, the timing was incorrect for that trade idea. You see the market was chopping around eventually, and then eventually we started to push up higher. This is where we entered. Not ideal, but then the market did eventually push up, and then it swept all these relative equal highs, and then it came back down. Very choppy conditions for ES, of course, but again, just being able to distinguish this and being able to read the market is very important here. This would have been the best trade idea right here. This right here would have been your best trade idea for the day, if I'm being truly honest. It's like a bread and butter setup, but then it would have got stopped out. So like it never worked out, but then that would have been your best trade idea, but it just didn't work out. It's one of those days where like you can have really good setups, but they don't work out, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like you can't control the market. You can only control yourself and continue to control yourself and take those high quality setups that play out and like that present themselves to you. Even if they don't play out the way you want them to, just keep taking them. Eventually you're gonna see the results you want to see, or the results that you have back tested and like you have data collected for. And it's simple as that. And then eventually this was the trade idea, and we're gonna go over the short too. We took a short right here. So again, we had a short idea right around here, like right here we had a short. We entered, stop loss was a little bit above there, and the original take profit was at these lows. So that was like a 1-to-1 again. But then I realized, bro, we're having like SMT, ES is sweeping those lows, and NQ isn't. And then eventually I started to realize, see, like we had the SMT. I was like, all right, that's something I've been trying to incorporate more too, is SMT. Using correlation between the assets is very important in my opinion. That's how you're able to distinguish which one to trade and like which one is gonna move and like when it's gonna move too. So you can see here we had the low, and we broke it, but then eventually we swept and pushed up higher. So this was very important to me because I wanted to see strong displacement. Once we had this little wick right here, I knew instantly, like, all right, this doesn't look too good. We probably won't continue to the downside since we're having SMT now. And if we're really bullish, we're gonna not reach these lows, And eventually you can see the market. Eventually it was showing momentum, and then eventually it just flipped, hit the break-even point, and I was like, all right, my bias is incorrect. We're bullish. This just confirmed my bullish bias, because if the market was bearish, it would have continued to the downside. It would have like respected the standard deviations. So then eventually I realized, all right, the market is going to be bullish here. We had a 1 minute SIBI, 1 minute BISI, breaker market structure. I entered at the inversion fair value gap, but I think the better entry would have been right here, and this would have been close right here, a 1-to-1. That would have been the trade idea. That could have got me, the take profit, and boom, close the trade idea right there. Pretty big stop loss, I won't lie. I think I should have, but I was my stop loss was right here at this candle right here for that form, the inversion. That's the main reason why I had it there, and a little bit lower honestly at the low, but good stop loss honestly. But once we again, because we didn't form the BISI yet, we're barely making this in an inversion. I just didn't know like where to put my stop, so then I wanted to play it safe, especially with this breaker market structure. I realized the market could retrace to this high right here and then push up higher, and it could dig a little bit deeper, but I didn't want to see that since we had this right here. And yeah, that was pretty much really it. And you can see we broke above this high. We swept external buy side up here with this high. So I was expecting this one, since it was like a little stab. I expected the market to push up with speed and then reach into the the SIBI on the 4H, but that never happened, sadly. So that made me like a little bit unfortunate once I saw the stop come back to break even, and then eventually you can see the market eventually started to push up and reach into it. If we held the stop loss at our original area, then we would have probably hit the take profit. But it's one of those days where you can't do that. And I'm going to continue to manage the risk at break even, because again, we're risking a little bit heavy, and it was only one contract. So if we had two, I would have probably took it one contract off right here, then move the stops and just let it run, and that was pretty much really it.